Okay guys, this is going to be part 7. Right out of memory on my local phone. I just forgot to switch it over to the memory card. So we were just getting ready to splice into the servo wire. This wire really does not want to be split, which is, there we go. Okay guys, so I've got some copper exposed finally. So this is going to be the black wire, of course. Don't need a ton exposed. And I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to handle this yet, but I can actually pull out the lead itself from the connectors on these little UMX connectors and put heat shrink over this. The trouble is it's very easy to damage those little things, so I'd rather not do it unless I absolutely have to. So alternately, we could possibly just put a piece of tape over this one spot, or a little bit of heat shrink, or excuse me, glue over it. So now let's go ahead and, rule of thumb would be to test these things first, but okay. So give us a good solder joint there, so we can tap our negative. And I think we'll probably go with some CA over that. And then our power, we're going to strip this back, get that prepared first. And then you can stagger your joints if you want to do like heat shrink over the whole thing. But it just starts getting really messy if you do too much of that. Okay, so just got a little bit of that copper exposed, so we can get a good solder joint. So I'm going to just put a little 90-degree bend in this wire, just to cheat it through. Now normally I would kind of slide the wires into each other, but this is such small wire for these UMX linear servos. They're just super dinky. So I think in this case I'm just going to go like that, just kind of fold it over. Just get a little bit of solder on there. Help make that bond. Okay. That's satisfactory now. So at this point, we need to protect the wires from short circuits. And there's a bunch of different ways we could do that. But I'm just thinking this is probably the most definitive would be to do this. And then put a little bit of, just a little bit of CA over it. And the objective here is to, even if the tape comes off, which we're still going to tape over it as well, then we would have a redundant protection. A little bit of kicker. And then we need to put a little black tape on there, probably. Just regular electrical tape. We don't need a lot. This has been a pretty reasonable project, except for the fact that this stupid phone has been giving me problems. Other than that, it's been pretty smooth sailing. And when I say the phone, I mean the phone I had been recording with, that I had to default, which is why you didn't get video number 5 yet. I'm hoping still to resolve that, but I'm a realist. Pretty sure it's gone. I've done data recovery a couple of times, but when you format a hard drive that way, I'm not sure you can get it back so easy. When your smartphones start getting pretty old, they start having a lot of stupid problems, I can tell you that. Okay, so we got that taped in such a way that won't easily or quickly come off. So now, probably would be wise to see if I can fit this over the end. Not the whole thing. Okay, so that doesn't fit. So I don't think we're gonna mess with it anymore. We'll just do probably one little small piece of tape, very small piece of tape, to hold all that together. Just give it a fighting chance of staying one contiguous piece, so as to minimize the chance of ever coming undone. And if it comes undone, it's because of a catastrophic failure, like a complete crash. Okay, let's shut off the soldering iron. Okay, so now I get the fun project of plugging this back in before we get to really see if our work is going to work. Now remember, I was grabbing this connector like that. That was how we had more or less had hold of it to get it unplugged. And we did have it clicked in once, if I recall. Okay, so let's just send that back there. Not sure if you guys can see. At this point, I kind of got to see to get the thing plugged in. Yep, got it. Okay. Got it, and it clicked. Okay, so now we pause and I go get my radio. Alright guys, so we got the radio on, throttle cuts on. And at this point we're just making sure things work. Oh, look at that. Sweet! So far, so good. Got the green. Got the very intense tail light. Pretty much exactly what I was hoping for. Forward-facing lights. The only thing I don't like is that when it's pointed straight at you, those lights are up high enough that they are obstructed by the nacelles to a certain extent. And to be honest with you, it looks like the wingtip lights are not going to be as broad a range as I'd like them to be. But we can always fix that by scuffing up the LED's plastic. Man, that's bright. That is so intense. Which is great. Because remember, the taillight ends up being a huge improvement. Or huge help when you're trying to fly. Okay, so now that we know that that's working, let's take a look at how we want to get this all situated back in here. So I think we should be able to just kind of flop this over on itself to a certain extent. Keeping the idea that we need to try to stay out of our own way for the batteries and stuff. So we kind of need it to be taped to the side or to the ceiling, preferably the ceiling, except we've got this one spot where the canopy needs to come in and rest. So if we could kind of fold this over on itself, that would be great, because that's all stiff wire. That'll kind of stay where it needs to stay then. Now the other thing is, we'll have to we always generally do before we get started, we'll have to reevaluate. That stuff stayed back nicely, but not all of it. We're going to have to evaluate our center of gravity and make sure this doesn't screw us up too bad. I think that most of the weight is going to be at or just slightly in front of the CG. So if that's the case, then we should be okay. If you guys would copy this setup, then I don't suspect you'll have any problems there either. Okay, so now then we need to test the control surfaces real quick. Make sure everything's still working. Elevator. Both ailerons are working. Rudder's working. Ooh. Not that it's a big issue, but you see how we're hitting that, which is sucky. Maybe if I can just kind of pull that off. Oh yeah, it's out of the way now. I want to say it's kind of a mess in there, but it's hard to reach back there. I mean, with forceps you can do it, but it's kind of hard to use forceps to install zip ties and stuff. I mean, you can do it, but okay. Let's test again. So far, so good. Okay, so now that we've kind of got everything situated, I just don't know if I need to really tape up the wires or if I just want to let it be. And that's the age-old question for me, is do you tape up the giant bundle of wire you just created, or do you just leave it alone and hope it's not a problem? I mean, if it becomes a problem, we can always address it. But you just don't want to be in a situation where you're trying to fly and then have to deal with it right then and there. I can't speak for other people, but that's true for me. I try to get all this stuff worked out before I get ready to fly, because usually when I'm getting ready to fly, it's right before it gets dark. or I'm in a big hurry. Make sure everything is still totally free. Oh yeah. Okay. Let's get you guys a shot. A shot in the dark. Okay, put that back. Canopy. Unplug our lights. And we'll shut off the lights in here. Oh yeah, that looks sweet. It's bright. Oh yes, that's what I was hoping for. See, now you can tell the orientation of the plane because you've lit up the nose of the plane. Now the only thing I need to consider doing would be maybe having one more light that would actually cheat and shine up at the tail, at the vertical stabilizer, and back at the horizontal stabilizer, because then you could see what direction your plane's going. Let's see what it looks like with the throttle on. Doesn't block it as much as I thought it would. Red's pretty good. The white taillights are really good. I think I need to get a little bit more CA on this. While it's dark, you can really see good how much it's making an impact. So, as much as it's a little bit of a pain to do it in the dark, it might be easier to tell if you're getting the impact you desire. And so what I'm going to do is I'll take this and I'll just strip it. You see how I just kind of took and dripped toward the top. And we just need a little bit of kicker here. Okay. So now we wait a second. Make sure it's not going to drip too much more. One more kind of drip for good measure. One more very fine spritz of kicker, and you can see what's going on here is that green is visible all the way until the red's visible. So now that red is barely visible. So what we got to do is we'll take this, we'll just do a drip like this, kind of favoring toward the top portion of the light. And then we'll just do just a little spritz of kicker. Don't want to get too crazy with the kicker. And then we'll go one more kind of coat on the top here. Okay. We want that to drip downward. Just a little spritz of kicker. Now this tail light is just really good. I just kind of, that looks really cool with those lights that shine down the side of the plane. I love the way that looks. It just makes me jealous for the vertical stabilizer. I wish we could get some of this light pointed back at the vertical stabilizer, almost like a logo light. Okay, so this is just very, very bright, very intense. And what I would like to do is I would like to do one more drip on this portion. Get that stuff to come down just a little bit. I don't know if you guys can tell from this video because it's, you know, it's dark and everything, so I understand that. But now let's go out in the light. You can see the way that that drip will help to point the light where you want it to be. And yet it still more or less holds to the shape that you would expect a light to be. Now here's the real ticket. When you really want to get this thing to work well, what you'll do is you'll take And take your sanding block, just like this. Grab the plane and just give her a little bit of roughness, which I hate to do it because I like the clear look, but this will make a humongous difference, especially if you do it on the face where the LED shines, and that will distribute the light out. Watch the screen. I don't know if you guys can tell in the video, but it's very direct right now. Well, once I start getting this roughed up where the light's shining, it's gonna diffuse the light to all the other different angles. It's gonna do a lot better job. So, and then same thing goes for the tail. The tail light, we want to rough up just a little bit. And it's gonna work well. So really the moral of the story at this point is, do I now need to go ahead and add in the anti-crash beacons that I was reluctant to originally install? Or do I go ahead and find another white light from my surplus and install that so it shines up at the tail? I think what we need to do is we'll probably just need to kind of investigate how this works on the Remaiden with a dark flight, and we'll see if that's going to be a good fit for this application. But guys, how cool is that? That's pretty neat. Alright guys, real happy with it so far. We'll see how it works in the real world. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.